My dream wedding turned into a nightmare. The woman under my veil wasn't my fiancé, but his mute sister. I lifted the veil, and the woman staring back at me wasn't Emma. It was Sarah, her mute sister. 200 guests watched me freeze at the altar of St. Catherine's Church on Saturday, April 6, 2024, at 3:47 p.m., the exact moment I was supposed to be kissing my bride and starting the rest of my life. Instead, I was staring into the terrified brown eyes of a woman who wasn't supposed to be here, wearing a $6,000 Vera Wang dress I'd helped pay for, holding a bouquet of white peonies that cost $800, standing under an arch of flowers that had taken 3 people 6 hours to construct this morning. Sarah's eyes were wide, pleading, filled with tears that were already streaking her carefully applied makeup. Her hands were shaking so badly, the bouquet trembled, petals dropping onto the white runner between us. My own hands started shaking. "What? Where's Emma?" Sarah couldn't answer. She was born without the ability to speak. Selective mutism, they'd called it. Though Emma had explained once that it was more complicated than that. Something about her vocal cords never developing properly. She just shook her head frantically, more tears spilling down her cheeks, her mouth opening and closing soundlessly, like she was trying to force words that wouldn't come. I looked past her to Emma's parents in the front row. Her mother, Margaret, was crying into a handkerchief. Not happy tears, I realized now, but something else. Something that looked like guilt. Her father, Richard, looked away when our eyes met, his jaw clenched, his face red. "Someone tell me what's happening." My voice came out louder than I'd intended, echoing through the church, making people shift in their seats. "Right now, someone explain this to me." The officiant, Pastor Michael, who'd known Emma's family for 20 years and had counseled us through our premarital sessions, stepped back, his hands raised slightly, confusion written across his face. The organ music that had been playing softly cut off abruptly, leaving only silence and the sound of 200 people barely breathing. Then I heard it, a phone buzzing in Sarah's bouquet. She fumbled with the flowers, nearly dropped them, pulled out an iPhone with a cracked screen. Her phone, I recognized it from family dinners, from the way she used it to communicate everything she couldn't say out loud. She turned it toward me. A text message filled the screen, from Emma. "I'm sorry, I can't do this. Sarah will explain everything. Please don't hate me." My stomach dropped. The church felt suddenly too hot, too small, the walls pressing in. "Explain? She's mute. How is she supposed to explain?" Sarah was already typing, her fingers flying across the screen with desperate speed. She turned the phone back to me, and I read words that made the floor tilt beneath my feet. "Emma left last night. She's with Marcus. They've been together for 6 months. She couldn't face telling you. Asked me to take her place so you wouldn't be humiliated in front of everyone. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to do this." Marcus, my best man, the guy I'd known since college, who'd helped me pick out the engagement ring, who'd thrown my bachelor party, who'd stood beside me through every major moment of my adult life. Marcus, who wasn't standing at the altar with the other groomsmen. Marcus, whose spot beside me was conspicuously empty. I looked at the groomsmen, my brother Jake, my college roommate David, my cousin Tom, Emma's brother Chris. "Where's Marcus?" They all found the floor fascinating. Shoes, carpet, anything but my eyes. Jake finally spoke, his voice barely audible. "He texted this morning, said he was sick, food poisoning or something." "He's not sick." The words came out flat, dead. "He's with my fiancé." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone's phone clattered to the floor. Emma's mother let out a sound that might have been a sob. I heard my own mother crying somewhere behind me, heard my father's sharp intake of breath. Sarah typed again, her fingers shaking so badly she had to retype several times. I tried to tell her not to do this. I begged her, but she said you'd understand eventually, that you'd see it was for the best, that this way you wouldn't be embarrassed. Wouldn't be embarrassed? My voice was rising now, control slipping. I'm standing at the altar with the wrong woman, in front of 200 people. How is this less embarrassing? Sarah's mother, Margaret, stood up, her handkerchief pressed to her mouth. "We tried to stop her, Daniel. We did. But Emma was so insistent. She said you were a good man, that you'd forgive her, that you'd understand she was just scared of commitment and needed time. A good man." I repeated the words like they were foreign. "So she sent her sister to marry me instead?" The church had erupted in whispers now. Phones were coming out. I could see them, dozens of screens lighting up, cameras turning on. By tonight, this would be everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. The story of the guy whose bride ditched him at the altar and sent her mute sister as a replacement. I pulled out my phone, called Emma, straight to voicemail, her voice cheerful and bright. "Hey, you've reached Emma. Leave a message." Like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't just destroyed our wedding day. Called Marcus. Same thing. Voicemail. His voice. "Marcus here. You know what to do." I'd left him dozens of messages over the years about basketball games and weekend plans and whether he wanted to grab drinks. Never about stealing my fiancé. I looked at Sarah, really looked at her terrified face, tears still streaming, makeup ruined, wearing a dress that wasn't meant for her, holding flowers she shouldn't be holding, standing in a place she never wanted to be. At the elaborate dress Emma was supposed to be wearing, the dress we'd spent hours choosing together, the one she'd cried over when she tried it on because it was perfect, because she couldn't wait to marry me in it. At the flowers, the decorations, the unity candle we were supposed to light together, the cake in the reception hall, 3 tiers, vanilla with raspberry filling, topped with sugar flowers that cost $200, the DJ, the photographer currently capturing all of this, the videographer whose camera was still rolling, $40,000. That's what we'd spent. What I'd spent mostly, since Emma's writing career hadn't taken off yet, and my software engineering salary covered most of our expenses. $40,000 for a wedding to a woman who couldn't even show up. My hands stopped shaking. Something cold and hard settled in my chest, pushing out the panic, the humiliation, the hurt. Clarity arrived like ice water. I turned to face the crowd, 200 faces staring back at me. Family, friends, co-workers, Emma's entire social circle. My voice, when I spoke, was steady, calm. The kind of calm that comes after everything has already broken. For those who don't know, my fiancée Emma has decided not to attend her own wedding today. She's currently with my best man, Marcus Chen. They've been having an affair for 6 months. More gasps. Sarah's mother tried to stand again. I held up my hand. Instead of telling me herself or canceling the wedding like a normal person, she sent her mute sister Sarah to stand in for her at the altar. Because apparently, that's less humiliating than just calling off the wedding. I looked directly at Emma's father. Did you know about this? About the affair? His face, red, ashamed, unable to meet my eyes, answered for him. You all knew. I scanned the front rows, saw the guilt written across Emma's relatives, her close friends who were suddenly very interested in their shoes. Some of you knew, and nobody said anything. Nobody called me. Nobody sent a text. You were all just going to let me stand here and find out like this. My mother was openly crying now in the second row, my father's arm around her, his face twisted in fury. Not at me, at them, at Emma, at this whole disaster. I turned back to Sarah, took a breath. This isn't your fault. I'm sorry you got dragged into this. You didn't deserve to be put in this position. She nodded, tears streaming faster now, her whole body shaking. She typed something on her phone, but her hands were shaking too badly. I saw the words before she gave up. I'm so sorry. I addressed the crowd one final time. The reception is paid for, the food is ready, there's an open bar, you're all welcome to stay and eat. Celebrate something, anything, just not my marriage, because there isn't going to be one. I walked down the aisle. 200 people parted like water, pressing back against the pews, creating a path. I could hear crying, my mother, my grandmother, Emma's mother, several bridesmaids, could hear angry whispers, phones buzzing, the click-click-click of photos being taken. I made it to the parking lot before Jake caught up with me, running in his tuxedo, his face red. Dan, wait, what are you going to do? I don't know yet, I said. But I did know. I drove to Emma's apartment, the one she'd been living in until next week, when she was supposed to move into the house I'd bought for us in Oak Park. Used the key she'd given me 6 months ago with a kiss and a promise. Soon we won't need separate keys. It'll all be ours. The apartment was half empty. Her closet mostly cleared out. Drawers open and ransacked. She'd been planning this. Not a spur-of-the-moment panic. A calculated exit strategy that she'd been executing while smiling at me over dinner, while planning seating charts, while saying, I love you, and I can't wait to be your wife. Her laptop was still open on the kitchen counter, still logged in. She'd always been careless about security, had never changed her passwords even when I'd suggested it, had laughed and said, I trust you. I opened her email, went to her sent folder, started scrolling, found what I was looking for in an email to Marcus from 3 weeks ago. March 15th, 3 weeks before our wedding. Subject line, I can't do this anymore. The body of the email was worse. I can't wait any longer. Let's just go. Tomorrow. Next week. I don't care. We'll figure out the wedding later. Cancel it, postpone it, whatever. Daniel will understand eventually. He's too nice to stay mad. That's the problem, actually. He's too nice, too understanding, too stable. I love him, but I'm not in love with him. Not like I am with you. You make me feel alive. He makes me feel safe, and that's not the same thing. I need alive. I need you. Let's just run. Too nice to stay mad. I stared at those words until they blurred, read them again. Then I forwarded the email to myself, then to every single person on our wedding guest list, 200 email addresses that Emma had compiled in a spreadsheet, organized by table assignments for the reception. Every family member, every friend, every co-worker, everyone who'd just watched me get humiliated at St. Catherine's Church. I added a subject line, "Why Emma didn't show up," in her own words. Hit send. My phone started buzzing immediately, then didn't stop. Texts exploding across the screen faster than I could read them, calls coming in, voicemails piling up. I turned it off, dropped it on Emma's counter, walked out, drove to the reception hall, the Riverside Ballroom, $8,000 rental fee, decorated with flowers and lights and a sweetheart table for two that would stay empty. Walked in to find half the guests already there. They'd taken me up on the invitation. Were eating the expensive catered food, drinking the open bar, standing in small groups, talking in urgent whispers. My mother rushed over, her makeup destroyed by crying. My father beside her looking like he wanted to hit something. "Daniel, sweetheart, are you okay?" "I'm fine. What did you do? People are checking their phones and—" I made sure everyone knows the truth. The whole truth. In Emma's own words. My phone was off, but I could imagine what was happening. Emma's family reading that email, her friends, her co-workers, Marcus's family, everyone who'd been at that church, everyone who'd seen me standing there with Sarah while 200 people watched my life implode. They'd all know now that Emma hadn't just left me, that she'd been planning it, that she'd called me too nice to stay mad, that she'd sent her mute sister to take her place because she was too much of a coward to face me herself, that she'd been having an affair with my best man for 6 months while planning a wedding to me. My father found me at the bar 2 hours later, put his hand on my shoulder. "I'm proud of you, son." For what? Getting left at the altar? For not letting them get away with it quietly. For making sure everyone knows what kind of person she really is. That night, my phone, still off, sat in my pocket while Jake showed me his. Emma had posted on Instagram, a long caption under a black square. "I made a terrible mistake. I panicked. I'm so sorry to everyone I hurt, especially Daniel. I never meant for things to happen this way. Please stop the hate messages." The comments were brutal. Over 300 already. "You sent your mute sister to marry him? Are you insane? This is genuinely psychotic behavior. You deserve every bit of hate you're getting. Daniel dodged a bullet. You're a coward." Marcus had posted too, a similar apology on Facebook that his own family was destroying in the comments. His mother had written, "I raised you better than this. Don't contact me." His sister, "You're dead to me." I didn't feel good about it, didn't feel victorious or satisfied, just empty, hollow. Like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left a shell that looked like Daniel Morrison but was actually just going through motions. Around midnight, my phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. I answered without thinking. "Daniel, please." Emma's voice, cracked and desperate. "I'm begging you, take down the email, delete it. People are sending death threats. Marcus lost his job. They fired him this afternoon. My family won't talk to me. My friends are blocking me, please. You should have thought about that before you sent Sarah to marry me in your place." I panicked. I didn't know what else to do. I was scared and I made a terrible mistake. "You had 6 months to tell me the truth. 6 months while you were sleeping with my best friend and planning our wedding at the same time. You could have told me any day. Instead, you let me stand at that altar in front of 200 people. I was going to tell you? When? After Sarah and I said I do? Daniel, you were a coward, Emma. You are a coward, and now everyone knows it." Silence. Then her voice, barely a whisper. I'm sorry. I really am so sorry. So am I. I hung up. Blocked the number. Sat in the apartment we were supposed to share, the house I'd bought, the mortgage in my name, the rooms we were supposed to fill with furniture and memories and eventually kids. Sat surrounded by wedding gifts people had shipped early, by the life I'd planned that had evaporated in the time it took to lift a veil. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Thank you for not blaming me. I'm sorry you went through that. You deserved so much better. You're a good man. Don't let her make you think otherwise. I stared at the message for a long time. Typed back, so did you. You deserved better than being used like that. I'm sorry she put you through it. Because she had. Sarah had been forced to stand at that altar, to face 200 people, to deliver the worst news of my life while unable to speak. She'd been crying the whole time, terrified, trapped in a situation she'd begged Emma not to create. Emma had used both of us, had calculated that I was too nice to stay mad, that she could send her sister as a sacrifice and I'd just accept it, that eventually I'd forgive her and we'd laugh about it at family dinners years from now, but I wasn't that nice. Not anymore. I opened my laptop, looked at the email still sitting in my sent folder, at the 200 recipients, at the read receipts showing 198 people had opened it, at the replies filling my inbox, expressions of outrage, support, disbelief. Emma had wanted me to be too nice to stay mad. She'd counted on it, built her plan around it. She'd been wrong.